how to be a good friend when it concerns their choice of relationships, right? So, like boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever their choice, what you think of them as their roommate. And so, I'm Albert. This is Vlogs About Nothing. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to join me. It means a lot. We do a lot of nothing around here. I have to cut my nails. And so, yeah, again, I appreciate all the new viewers, all the new subscribers, all the returning people. Let's go. And so, yeah, okay, here's the thing, right? I have a roommate. Obviously, everybody knows this, said it before. It's the truth. And, since I've had a roommate, before the gentleman that I live with now, you feel me? It's always been sort of one of those things like you would discuss as a like friend, but in this case they like live with you, so it's like, how do you, what if you don't like the person that your roommate's dating, you feel me? And so I mean, if we really have to go there, yeah, I guess it's because it's kind of personal. But here's the thing, I'm want to make a video about how to be a good friend, you know what I mean? And you don't have to like everybody, we've talked about this, but it's important to be respectful, cordial, and accepting of people that you otherwise might not like because somebody that you really care about does. You know what I mean? And so that's called being a friend. Seriously. Not being a friend is like making that person, your friend, feel bad about their choice of friends, or, and I'm guilty of this sometimes, like, and I have to say sorry, and I'm a human being. I'll like be like, oh, I didn't mean to say that, you know what I mean, in terms of like, oh, this person is this way, and she's doing this to you or whatever, and it's sort of like, that's not what nobody needs to hear, you know what I mean? They want to be supported, they want like for a person to be happy for them, and I try, you know what I mean? I try, as I've tried with all of my friends and all of my roommates. And most of the time, it's been very few times where I've met a friend of like my roommates, like especially like a girl or whatever, and then I like a guy roommate, like with my guy roommate, and I'm like, I don't know, like most of the time it's worked out well. Like I've had some of my best friends like ships have happened that way in terms of like somebody's at work or something, and we're young and roommates' girlfriends are home and we're just kind of like chilling, right? Like friends and stuff. Like, yeah, it's important, especially when you're, like, I'd say younger and you're living in the same house and sharing like the same common space. It's almost impossible to avoid other people, unless you're trying to, and that takes a lot of energy. And yeah, you know what I mean? So it's sort of like, again, I don't think that being a good friend is hating on your roommate's choice of company, Now, unless it's like super bad, you know what I mean? Like, obviously, like criminal in nature, I guess, just like super shady, super sus, you feel me? But like, obviously, normal stuff, everyday, 95% of all what happens kind of thing. It's like, yeah, you gotta put up with that other person because even though you don't like them, your friend is does. And again, so I don't know. I think it's being a good friend, by being supportive. You know what I mean? And so I don't know how other people feel about it, but like last year, for example, this is the extent of my roommate and I's friendship in terms of just the mutual respect that we have for one another towards being just single, just and men and just people, right? We treat everybody like this, but we live together. So last year I was in like the worst relationship I've ever been in. It was a very bad time. This woman, in my opinion, just as I'm sure she'd have one of me, was just an awful person. And for me, again, I think she'd probably be a lovely person for someone who does the kinds of things that she does. But for me, it was really impactful in a very negative way, with very little remorse on the opposite party sort of side, as it would be for accountability and transparency and honesty, and so I will say honest, like obviously that when I was with that woman and we would come in and out of my apartment, like it got to a point where I felt so bad, like that I was with this woman that I wouldn't even come home. Like I didn't come to this apartment for months because I felt bad that, the woman I was with, my roommate, didn't like, or never expressed this, right? Never expressed this, but clearly, like, he'd have no reason to like this woman. This woman was like a bad person, right? So just it, overall, objectively speaking, it's just like there was no reason for the company anyway. But he never said anything. He was always a real cool guy when I did come by. But again, it was just sort of like I don't even like putting people in that situation, especially when I live with them. You know what I mean? It's sort of like this is my business, or whatever. But still, I'm just saying that to be a supportive friend, and he was a supportive friend in that way, right? Like in as in that, like, he didn't like talk stuff about her. He let like her son stay in our apartment for months. You feel me? Like that's like real nice. That's like a real kind person. That's what like a real nice person does. So again, I just think that any sort of way that you look at it, supporting your friends is more important than how you feel about the company they choose to have. Again, unless it's like super detrimental to their life. And again, at which point people have these conversations. And at some point, I did have a conversation with my roommate, and at some point, it was confirmed that, the overall sort of togetherness of the two of us just caused a whole lot more trouble than anything was ever worth. And on my defense, I didn't really do it this time. Like this relationship, it wasn't my fault, like, at all. This time it wasn't my fault, which is why I'm like, okay, seriously, and yeah, I don't know how we ended up here, but we did. And so I think that, again, anytime, like, even with our children, if people that we care about in any capacity bring around people that we don't like, but they do, we gotta put on a face and pretend that I mean, it's not pretend, we're happy that our loved ones are happy, right? We're just a little hesitant on understanding sometimes why, but it's really not up to us to make that judgment call. You feel me? So to be a supportive friend, you have to be supportive and be actively engaged with conversations that involve even the person that you don't like, right? As in, how they're doing, what'd you guys do? Again, it's not going to kill you to be an active listener and or just a supportive friend, right? And in fact, it's going to positively reinforce and strengthen that relationship. And so, again, if you're a young person, or like even if you're old, you feel me? Housing's real expensive right now, so lots of us are bunking up, But I'm just saying, like, value your friendships and understand that your friendships with those people are worth way more than how you feel in the short about some rando coming in and out of the person's life that you care about. Because sometimes we know this too, right? Many people come in and out of our lives all the time. I mean, this is common nature. I mean, it just happens. And those that we want to keep by our side or whatever, we do our best to do that, whether it's in a platonic sense or in a physical and a kind of attracted kind of sense towards like couples and relationships in that regard. And so I appreciate you watching the videos, and I hope y'all have a great night, okay? Bye.